Hello everyone and welcome back once again as we're in game number 3 of this matchup from the DasKeyboard Open number 2. So first off, right to our player introductions, spawning as our yellow Terran. Ended up winning the first game, couldn't quite get it done the second game, OpticalRH. His opponent spawning as our blue Zerg. Winner of the last game, ended up going for some very interesting roach burrow timings, both of his games. Ended up panning out for him in game number 2. Going to be looking to try and take game number 3 and move on in the tournament. Zelniq. Going to be on the map MLG Shakir's Plateau. It's going to be interesting to see what OpticalRH's plan is for this map, since he did pick this map. This is his pick, since the loser of the previous game does get the map choice. So it does kind of put an emphasis on winning the first games in the tournaments, just because you're, like, people don't really actually consider that a lot of times, that winning the first game can actually be a huge advantage for one opponent or the other. Because if you win the first game, that really gives you the map advantage to an extent, as far as like maps you maybe have some strategies or whatnot worked out on, versus maps you don't. So there is something to be said about ending up winning the first game as far as how that might play out for the matchup. See, Optical is going to be putting his first barracks down here on the low ground, so going to potentially be expecting some pressure here from Optical. Do not see any gases going down behind this just yet, so could be going for a 2-Rax opener to apply some pressure to Zelniq. We do see Zelniq is going to be going for a hatch first, so definitely could be an opening there for Optical to do some damage if Zelniq doesn't react to it properly. Seeing Zelniq now scout, going to also put down his pool. A little bit of a late scout timing by this drone once again. Zelniq preferring that scout timing after he gets his pool down versus putting it down a little bit earlier. Sometimes that can allow a Terran to wall off, but if they don't go for a 1-Rax and do a fast wall off, obviously you will have a lot more time. See the first scouting SCV on the way for Optical as well. Do see now Zelniq going to be getting to the front of Optical's base with his initial drone, and we do see that there is actually going to be just a very fast command center, so going 1-Rax in the command center. Does not have that first marine out. Zelniq should spot the fast command center. Yes, he will see that. Does know exactly what Optical is up to now. And looks like he's going to try and get a gas steal. Yes, we'll steal the gas. We'll save the drone for now so that he can maybe use the scout a little bit later on. Optical going to be scouting the close air first. Won't actually find Zelniq there. So it does not look like he's going to be actually going for a lot of pressure here, as he does just have his first marine out with this command center on the way. Couple of drones getting transferred here for Zelniq. It looks like Zelniq's actually going to just forego any link production whatsoever in favor of a lot of drones. Do not mind this at all by Zelniq. He did see that it was a 1-Rax to do a fast expand, and we actually have Optical once again putting up a very fast third command center. So the question is, will he actually be able to get away with this? Zelniq, if he can scout this, actually could do a lot of damage to Optical with just some Zerglings once he does have enough gas for Zergling speed. First queen out here. Kind of interested here in the fact that Zelniq is playing defensively, but hasn't actually built any Zerglings whatsoever. Has just been droning up. Obviously, they'll give him a temporary economic advantage. If you look at the income tab right now, sitting at 21 to just 18 harvesters, which will be good in the early game, but he is going to actually need to get something done as far as either going very economic or putting on some pressure to Optical pretty soon here. Because anytime you see a Terran or a Protoss fast expanded Zerg, you obviously want to get up a third relatively quickly if you're going to be able to actually defend anything. But not actually even scouting the front of Optical. And we see even a 4th command center getting built. So he's going to be going for this 4 orbital command center opening that I have seen him do a couple times in this tournament. And really a lot of his opponents have not reacted to it very well, as instead of actually pressuring him, which is the obvious thing, that'd be pretty easy. So you can't see there's just 2 Marines essentially guarding his entire base. A lot of them have played really defensively, have started just econing up upon seeing that 1-Rax expand, thinking that, oh, it's a 1-Rax expand into some kind of a push, but no, it's 1-Rax expand into 2 more Raxes. So do see Zelniq still just droning away here. Is ahead in harvesters by quite a bit now, 37 to 24, so he's going to have a temporary advantage over Optical. The mules will only give Optical so much extra economy compared to his Zerg opponent, but as soon as he starts actually ramping up his production here, he's going to be able to start getting quite a ways ahead of his opponent so long as Zelniq is 2-basing. And we saw actually this problem, as we do see Zelniq now going to his lair. Has started the metabolic speed as well, but still no links anywhere on the map. Actually very poor map vision for Zelniq. Just now finally starting to move this Overlord over here into a position he can spot, but absolutely no idea of if there's any pressure or what exactly Optical is up to. Really wish Zelniq would have at least built just a ling or two so that he could have at least something to poke the front of the base and see that Optical's basically just been sitting on 3 Marines this whole time. A big ling run by would have just essentially ended the game here, which Zelniq could have actually decided to do had he had some form of spotting or had he sacked an Overlord, but very poor scouting by Zelniq here. He might actually pay a pretty hefty penalty for that. You see he is not going to actually even take a third right away, instead going to go for a macro hatch and just sit on Saturate. Now starting to ramp up unit production, sitting on 48 drones here. 20 lings here in production. Baneling Nest on the way as well. I would like to see him scout with these lings immediately. We see Optical now floating that orbital command out, also building 4 more bunkers. Looks like he's going to be starting a factory as well over here in his main. So just now, even 2 factories going up, so going to be just now starting to ramp up his production facilities. Now Zelniq has a lot of lings out. If he can actually attack with these, he could stand to do a lot of damage here, potentially to Optical. See if just a few lings moving out now. It looks like he's just going to scout right now. See a second supply depot going down to actually wall in the front here. It's just 5 Marines essentially guarding everything for Optical. Has moved that 3rd command center now down to this low ground position, dropping mules down here at this 3rd. Also going to be producing some SCVs out of there. If we look at the income tab, we can actually see Optical has caught up 47 to 47 Harvester. Still no 3rd from Zelniq. Do see he does have a Spire on the way, however. Does also have his Baneling speed on the way as well. Do not see any upgrades for his Zerglings just yet. So he does have 1 Zergling spotting over here, but I do not believe he's even poked. No, has not even poked the front of the base. Would really like him to actually do that. Do see a bunker getting built over here. Optical's just going to salvage that right away, and now Zelniq will finally get his 3rd down, but is actually behind his opponent here. So we now see 4 reactors going down, 2 tech labs going down, so it's probably going to be a very heavy tank marine style of play out of Optical. Does have that stim just now finishing up. Combat shield's going to be following up behind this. Also has the +1 attacks for his Marines. So Zelniq suffering from a little bit of a lack of scouting here, quite a bit. We do see 7 Mutalisks now finally on the way. Now it does not mean Zelniq is dead in any way, shape, or form, but actually not with very good creep spread as well. Is keeping the energy on his Queens fairly low, but would like to see him spreading his creep forward better. Now actually using Overlords to connect his bases. Definitely not the preferred method of spreading your creep around the map, since it does, especially in the early game, leave those Overlords extremely vulnerable. See Zelniq now going to send out a couple of lings. Wish he would have an Overlord over here to spot. Looks like this 1 Overlord might be heading over towards that 3rd. Should be huge for him to actually spot that 3rd base so that he does not. Optical has already taken it. If we look at the income tab, though, we can see right now Optical way ahead. 66 Harvesters to just 52. Probably about 50% more income than Zelniq actually has, morphing in a couple of Banelings now. You see those Mutalisks finally getting over here to Optical's base, but there's a couple of missile turrets up. Here comes all those Marines that have been being produced, and it is going to make these Mutalisks have to pull away. Might lose one, going to be extremely close, but no. It is going to get those Mutalisks out of there just in time to save them. You see he is getting the +1 melee upgrades now for his Zerglings. 2nd evolution chamber on the way. Does have his Baneling speed as well. Is getting +1 air attacks for those mutas. So Zelniq by no means is going to be out of this, but he's definitely going to have a hard time dealing with this massive amount of army that Optical is being able to produce now. Do not believe he has actually spotted this 3rd yet. If we look over here, no, he actually did spot the 3rd, but not harassing it at all with the mutas. So would like to see him get up a decent amount of muta numbers. See a lot of lings in production instead. So would like to see him, though, get up a decent amount of muta so that he can try and push this. Just now starting to drone his 3rd a little bit, building a lot of units, and here comes a huge push from Optical out of his base. Now, if we look at the unit counting tab, guys, we can see there's 21 Banelings, 82 Zerglings, 9 mutas against just 6 tanks, and a ton of Marines with just a few medevacs just now in production. Really no medevacs with this army at all, so any stim will hurt him significantly. So Zelniq, if he can get good positioning on this army, get some good Baneling hits in, he definitely would not be in the worst of positions, but he will need to be careful. Does need to make sure he doesn't lose these mutas, and it looks like he's actually going to try and surround this entire army of Optical. So yes, he is going to be doing that, trying to move himself in position. Might even be thinking of just countering in with these Zerglings. Yes, that is exactly what he's going to do, trying to counter up in the base. Does get up the ramp, so he will be able to attack these tanks immediately. Here comes the Mutalisks. You do see there's still a lot of banelings and lings over here in the center of the map that will prevent Optical from moving out. Big repair over here on one tank. It will stop this one tank maybe from going down. No, the tank will go down. This might force Optical to turn around, but now here comes the lings. Here comes the banelings. Banelings moving forward, but a lot of them blowing up on the siege tanks. So we do see Zelniq needs to retreat, does not have those banelings actually on a separate hotkey, and now he loses most of his banelings. He's going to need to morph a lot more in here, or these Marines actually could just A-move into him. One baneling might give off a hit on a couple of Marines, but not a lot of Marines moving forward. These Marines are extremely damaged. Just a couple of medevacs now finally on the field for Optical. Do see 30 more lings in production here for Zelniq, but Zelniq's Mutalisks have been pushed out of the base with Marine reinforcements here. Now just kind of hanging out over here on the edge, and it looks like Zelniq may actually lose his third base to Optical here. Here finally comes some Zerglings. A lot of these Marines way low in the red, but Zelniq actually miscontrolling these Zerglings, not getting any damage done whatsoever to these Marines, just losing the... for free, but now the hatchery going down actually will clean up all those extremely low hit point Marines. Ducey is immediately going to start rebuilding his third, taking his fourth as well. Optical still just sitting on 3 bases, but does have this very well saturated. A couple of missile turrets protecting. Ducey now finally 8 Mutalisks back in production for Zelniq, so he did hold the initial push by Optical, but is way behind his supply right now, as we see Optical actually gearing up with another huge push right after that first initial push. So a lot more Marines and tanks, and now a decent amount of medevacs on the way here for Optical. We see Zelniq actually building a bunch of drones in Mutalisks, but his baneling count is actually virtually non-existent. Is indeed non-existent. Has not built any more banelings. Has no spotting at all. Should spot this now with the Zelniq tower. Needs to morph in some banelings. Not doing it though. What are you doing, Zelniq? Morph in some banelings. Zelniq, and no pokes forward. Has not still morphed into any banelings. Not going to just attack this army with the Zerglings and the Mutas. That is not going to work, Zelniq. And Zelniq could actually be in danger of going out of this game. And there's the GG. OpticalRH will take game number 3 and will move on in this tournament. So congrats to Optical. Very interesting style of play with those 4 super fast orbital commands. And really made Zelniq pay for his lack of scouting, and ends up taking this game number 3 and moving on to the tournament. So I'll be casting more games of this tournament as the week progresses for you guys. Also, I will be posting a bunch of my MLG TV casts coming up in just I think a day or 2 before the second round of casting for MLG TV will be available. Can check more of my casting from MLG Raleigh over on MLG TV, and they will eventually be on the YouTube as well. But for now, guys, this is Nersky saying peace, easy. I'll see you at the next cast.